So in this video, I'd like to break down the acronym NLP. And the reason we like to do this is because each of these letters has its own significant contribution to the field. So of course, NLP does stand for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. So let's start off with the N, which of course stands for neuro. Now what we're talking about here is the mind and the effect it can also have on the body. Because neuro really is short for neurology. Now, of course, NLP is not the study of the science of the mind. That's a completely different subject. It's the study of our subjective experience and how it affects us on a day-to-day basis. And this is really important for many different functions, many different applications. Say, for example, you are a coach or a therapist. When you understand how a client structures their own experience and how their subjective way of thinking about the world affects their day-to-day life, then you can start to actually do something about it. You can recognise patterns and structures, and you can then assist them in the process of rearranging those patterns and structures or learning new ones. And by doing this, it can then open them up to a whole range of new different options and choices. But again, even from a personal point of view, being able to understand the way that your subjective experience works can really help you take charge of your life from the inside out. Now, of course, I'm not suggesting that you can have complete control of your mental, emotional, and financial and physical destiny, but you can have tremendous influence. And by understanding how your subjective neurology works, then you can really start to have influence over it. You can start to take charge of it, do things by design, rather than just simply leaving them to chance. So then we move on to the L, which of course stands for linguistic. Now, just to simplify things, when we say linguistic, what we really mean is language. Language is tremendously powerful. It's not just a way of talking about things. It's not just a way of communicating with people. Language is almost like a carrier for our subjective experience. So the way that we describe things, both outside but also inside our mind, will dramatically affect the meaning that we attach to the things that are going on, the way that we feel, and ultimately the results that we get. And this is really important from multiple different perspectives. Say, for example, you are a coach or a therapist. Understanding the language that a client uses to really acutely listen to it can really help you better understand the way that they structure the problems and challenges they're experiencing. And by understanding this, you can then help them move beyond them. But also from a communication perspective, when you are communicating to a client, you can actually start to use your language by design. So rather than just saying random things or sharing stories with each other just for the heck of it, you can actually deliberately and by design use your language in a way that takes them from where they currently are and get them closer to where it is they ideally want to be. But even if you're not self-employed, if you work in an organisation, say you are a manager or a CEO or something else, the ability to be able to communicate and to do so precisely and by design is utterly essential when it comes to success in pretty much any field and pretty much any job. So by understanding the language aspects of NLP, you can really listen to the people around about you, understand how they structure their subjective experience, but also be able to communicate with precision and by design. But even from a personal level, understanding how you describe your own experiences and then start to enrich those descriptions can make such a profound difference to expanding your own map, your own model of the world. So I want to just give you a very quick experience of how important language can be. Now what I'm going to do in a moment is I'm going to just say seemingly random words and phrases. They're not random, but that's by the by. And all I'd like you to do, and you can do this with your eyes open or your eyes closed, obviously if you're driving, you don't want to close your eyes, but let's be honest, that's just common sense. But all I'd like you to do is to simply respond on the inside to the words and phrases that I'm about to say. Maybe you will start to create pictures. Maybe the pictures will move and shift and change throughout the whole experience. Maybe you'll attach meaning to it. Maybe you'll start to feel some feelings. I don't know. Just simply allow yourself to explore and allow yourself to respond. So, if you're ready, I'm just going to start saying random words and phrases. Man, tall, dark, handsome, charismatic, dangerous, highly competitive, when he works in business, likes to drink soda, but also likes to drink alcohol. Sometimes a little bit too much alcohol. And when he does, he gets angry with himself because he knows that he could be healthier. So, wherever you are, I'd like you just to reevaluate that experience that you just had. Now, obviously, there were some twists along the process there. I kind of led you down a path and then I started to change it. I started to almost like kind of take it in a completely different direction. But I'd like you just to pay attention to how those words and phrases affected your internal subjective experience. There's a good chance that you started to build up an image inside your mind of this man. And then all of a sudden, perhaps that image changed. Usually when you say things like dangerous, these are semantically packed words, or likes to drink a lot, a little bit too much, then that can change these internal images. Some people have said to me that all of a sudden when I say dangerous, their images start to get dark, and the whole thing starts to feel just a little bit sinister. But then when you change it, all of a sudden it brightens up, there's a bit more light, a bit more colour, and again the feeling starts to change. Now if you think about it, that was roughly around about 25 to 30 words, and that affected your experience in so many different ways. And the incredible thing is, this is happening all the time. So by understanding how words and phrases affect your own experience, but also the people that you communicate with, you can really take your understanding of human experience to a new level. You can make changes to the way that you think and you feel by upgrading and enriching your own descriptions, but you can also better understand the people that you interact with, whether it be in the workplace or even just friends or family. Tremendously powerful. So then we have our last letter here, and that's P, which of course stands for programming. It's a bit of a crude analogy, but the human mind, the human brain, could be likened to a computer, a supercomputer, one far more sophisticated and advanced than anything we could ever possibly devise in humankind. But of course, when we are born, we're given this amazing supercomputer that can do all kinds of intricate and incredible things. But we're never actually given a user manual for it. It's kind of like, here you go, here's an amazing device, off you pop, do your best, that's the only advice I can give you. Well, in our opinion, NLP is the closest that we've certainly found to having a user manual for your brain, for understanding how you can code your experience, but also how you can use certain techniques and processes to change the way that you think, to change the way that you feel, and the meaning that you attach to the things that happen to you. So in this part of NLP is generally where we bring in the technique side. NLP has a whole range of different change work processes and techniques. Step-by-step processes that you can lead a person through, or you can go through yourself in order to influence and create some kind of profound, quick and lasting change. As we know, any computer will only work as well as the software that you put into it. So NLP, the technique side of NLP, is almost like a way of being able to upgrade your own software or install your own software in such a way so that you can start to use your mind and body by design, rather than just leaving the whole thing up to chance. So that is NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Like I said, breaking it down in this way is quite useful because it helps you understand how each of these different elements significantly contribute to the subject in their own unique way. So in the next video, I'd like to expand on this a little bit, and I want to cover just a commonly used myth about NLP that I think is worthwhile to debunk at this stage. So when you're ready, if you want to head over to the next video and we'll look at that. See you shortly.